So some technicality at case 25135 that wasn't legal because my lawyer was summoned from the front of fighting against the ruling of the parliament. And the judge made a verdict without me being there. And she's very new. And I think, she was involved, before in registering to all kinds of people ongoing power of attorney without getting all the facts correct. But she has a good heart. She screamed in horror. She screamed in horror when she heard that thing. And apparently she sent, while my lawyer was in the home front, she said, she said, I am asking, the plaintiff. I didn't receive that, okay? Only later on I was able to go into the system and see that. Which temporary relief would you like? I didn't receive it at home. I didn't receive the letters but it was war, okay? But Chira said, there was a request. Yeah, when he's in the fighting the Nukhbot and you're not sending me, I mean, look, it's a very, very harsh um, court place. It's a court in Israel where I think again and again they weren't and I think it's Muslims as well. They were killing babies or putting them in cars to suffocate. Um, in very I don't know. Anyway, it's murder. You know, cases and cases, and they didn't make a verdict for murder. The judges, I think, I don't know what they said it's a mental thing. And I think it was murder. It's not anyway. It's a very difficult place. It's what we got. It's a real devilish court place where all these files were in, and now it's a new court. They moved. So they made a verdict without me based on falsifying evidence. Um, I mean, I asked, I'm sharing the screen. I asked for return of the money because apparently after many years that the bank didn't send the details, I till around the middle of 2020, my mom had the ability to see what's going on in her bank, and so did I. And they took over. This is theft, okay? This is theft. He's a banker. He sponsored all kinds of I'll show the document. So I asked for the money to be returned. That's what I did. A theft done, and I want that money to be returned. Look, they should be arrested and interrogated, but the country is at war. It started for, it's the first thing that Ayala Hassan gave it is the war on the house because it's our house. They infiltrated, and then it was, the sword war. But it is what it is. And everyone, didn't have a, and she was there. She reacted as best as she can, and she's working with a lot of religious girls. Oh, this is a time where mom, striking and asking for a raise, because these religious girls don't do the army. They don't know how to, be there. And she was responsible. She was responsible. She was, there. For about a month, I was being her typewriter, making an order and paragraphing an order. I realized it was her. And I guess she didn't have an assistant or anything. And I mean, I guess she wanted to cover up, but she said when I was beaten up, she said, the typist, they said that it was they quoted a law in Israel. I was amazed, in family law. Anywho, I don't know what temporary request she wanted, but at least I got it from her, a court order to get information. not as I wanted, and I think the bank is still hiding because he was a banker there. It's a you had already a case like that. It's called the Mizrahi case, where you had a banker who she was a Eti. She was, sponsoring her addicted to gambling brother, and it's the same thing. But this is an adopted Muslim brother. So and he has, his lawyer was involved for 20 years in all this stuff. So the lawyer in the new case, when they're trying to evict me without, showing the money, he's saying, "Oh, she's not cooperating. I'm not supposed to cooperate, okay? I'm not supposed to cooperate. Even though she's, the judge says that there's a trust. I'm not supposed to cooperate. I'm not supposed. He was making a bank account where they can steal. This is not a trust. I mean, the lawyer is completely fucked up with his mind. Didn't register it anywhere. Yeah, sure. And I'm blaming you for killing my mum. Why should I cooperate in a new killing of myself? Why should I cooperate in a signing for you that you will take my money? I mean, if you did it to my mum. The lawyer is completely nuts. And he's not, I'm a PCA, not a PCA, a fellow chartered accountant. I have no faulty with my finance, no faulty. I can understand at the time they poisoned me with very strange stuff where I had a stroke. I myself thought, and they just left me. And my father didn't know what to do. My mother, they don't know what the institutions are, how to give me medical aids. And they say, oh, yeah, she has a neurological problem. She has a brain damage. Because of the medication that you prescribed to me, I was, in stroke. My father could hear it. He had a bad hearing. And then, the worker at the office, Alice Khalfon, Alice Nachiasi, said that they brought a document that they would run a trust for me. Now, this kind of trust is not bad if I'm doing a relocation. It's not bad. It's not bad. At the time, it was the change of the law where you have trust abroad and stuff like that. It's, today I have to register it in Israel. Unless I'm doing a full relocation. I'm, unidentified an Israeli. And I am. I'm a Zionist. I'm a full Zionist. That's, we have a big in England. We have a lot of very rich family, and that's the thing with us. We do IDF. We don't do a pleasure and a fancy pleasure. It's our homeland. That's my the nuclear. My father and mother came, and that's what they did. Anywho, so. At least she gave me the order, but she's all the time. I paid for a claim, and there was a lovely girl there that took out for me as a plaintiff. Okay, they're trying to evict me. They're not returning the assets. Let them evict them because I'm, on half donations. I was working for my father and mother. I was taking care of them. I didn't steal or anything, and they took so much. They have villas, cars. It's not theirs. It's the money of the parents or their wives, you know. And you could see that they were withdrawing from the bank on a day of death from her bank. And it's not she had a caregiver. It's not her. It's not her because she was in another place. It's in Hillel Yaffe all the way. Cash, 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 cash. Why should I cooperate with you cashing out my money? You have a law in Israel. We are not in the law of the Sharia where you're killing women. It's not that. We have a law in Israel and in Britain as well. I mean, even if she adopted a Muslim and he says, "Oh, my father wanted," and I don't know, have some, the Messiah Chabad, but it's not a real Chabad. He has a rabbi who's stealing from him. I mean, this is not Judaism. This is not, this is completely okay. So I'm sharing the screen. That's what I sent her. And I'm sitting there, it's the same again and again, the same, because I got the balances at September. I share the screen. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it again and again, but it's this I wrote at the I was editing it, and he came for leave. The lawyer. We sat at Midtown next to the bar. He wanted, to show that I was also beaten up. But this is the thing. It's the 3rd of September 2024. In March 2025, I got she chose me, a cat, Minnie Mouse. Kristen Wiig is a cheetah with Wonder Woman. It's amazing. She's Norwegian, originally, and British. Very similar to me. Um, in accordance to the judge ruling, she's given the documents as follows, and the notifications. Return of the money. She's wants to, update them because I got the bank certificate at last. It was in the negotiation. I was out. We were doing negotiations on the death or in March. So first of all, the lawyer was sending them to evict me already when she was dying and to do withdrawal. And then the lawyer is Arik, not Arik Sharon, but and I'm suing Arik, M. Mr. M. And he was trying to evict, and then they exposed that document, and we did negotiation. I said, I'm leaving the house, no problem. Show me where's the money and what's the documents. And I paid a lot of money, a lot of money. It's like a full salary sometimes for me. That money that I paid to two lawyers, Tagliada Nieli, which he never negotiated because he didn't want to negotiate. But the first one was Yoav Golan, and it was okay. And they edited a document, and everything's fine. But they didn't want to show and it's Arik, it's their attorney, jurist, advocate, whatever, attorney. The category Sadegor is the attorney. He didn't want. First, we did a negotiation. We were about to sign, and they didn't show the documents. Second, I made another attempt with Talia. They didn't want it. I said, okay, after you already deposited it, let's do a negotiation. They didn't want. And then when we came to court, he was 15, my lawyer was 15 kilos less from the battlefield without sleep. You could see he was really, in suffering. And then they said, oh, we did an ongoing power of attorney. They didn't say we did. They said the man did an ongoing power of attorney. And as I showed again, a couple of or just similar is you could see that she's completely mute and paralyzed. She did. How did she do in telepathy? I mean, that lawyer is completely cuckoo. And you can see here, this is the neurologist, which he sent them to steal, by the way, from the home. But I scanned it before. And you can see she herself, the mom wanted to be donate her body to science, which they buried her against her will. They wanted to donate it also for science, but also for a corpse, which can do a toxology and everything. Against her will, they buried her. And here you can see it's in a download, but then this is the case against the lawyer. You can see. I hate this. I don't know what to. It's a fuck off. One of these temporary say PDF. Okay, you can see here on the 6th, which let me see. Okay, she died at the 6th of December. The neurologist says for the case. It's 115. This is the case, which against clause 115, right to reside for inheritance, they try to evict me. While creating a trust, well, you're supposed to take care, of the person in trust, not kill him. So that, there's a problem with that lawyer. So this is you could see there's a ID and everything. Where she was born at the 6th of August 1943. All the documents are without her real signature. She had a Hannah Radley Vibeke Christensen. Okay, now I'm showing the bank. It's a new computer. I'm not used to this. Where's the edge? So here, you can see all the way they were withdrawing money, and you can see on the 6th of March, I wasn't holding up a credit card. I was, working also before in places where you have to be the most cautious, also with my father. Most cautious. I would never steal from my father. Never. I mean, the fact that I got this house is because I took care of my dying mother and father. I always said, here, you could see more. There's it's a lot of cash withdrawals. She's mute and paralyzed. Here on the 1st of January, cash withdrawals. This is against the law. You could see that without authorization, they were operating her bank. This is okay. So she already in December was at the old age home. I think they didn't pay there also the old age home. I think they stopped paying because it's for some reason it goes down. And you can see a lot of purchases of it's called and they okay. This has gone up. She didn't use so much credit cards. Her total expenses were about 70,000 shekels per month with a villa and everything. I have it for before. So suddenly you have 18,000 per month. Who are you paying? And she had with also a health care. She was paying a very good health insurance. That was the main thing. So this is, it's already 200,000 shekels per month, per year. What are you doing with a credit card? And she has not only a coverage of healthcare, she also has a very good coverage of in her, it's an accountant insurance. Another here at the 10th of a, what are all these bank? The 5,000 is my sister. She took something like a loan or it wasn't really a loan. She was supposed to have the trust because she had a problematic spouse who was in loans and she had loans and my mom said, she wants her to have, a renter from her assets. And here she actually, yeah, so this is going out to her, 5,000 to my sister. I mean, she's mute here, okay? Look how many transactions. This is crazy. You're buying. This is gambling. Okay, whatever. It's gambling. I mean, your mom is dying. What are you buying now? What are you buying? This is speculant. I mean, and I told them she needs a caregiver. I was with her at home, and she had a hip replacement. They didn't want to give her a caregiver. So what you're trying to wait that she will fall from the stairs. I mean, this is crazy. And she could have automatically without even having because at her age getting healthcare. I mean, it's the national insurance. That's the law. you would get 3 times for your recovery. They didn't want her. I mean, my mom was also my brother was making her. Was a very fragile woman, but he was making her lift his children. I'm saying, and I mean, she had arthritis. He was, go and now chop all my do gardening. Very good, mom. Very good. She would come back home, in pain, real pain, working for him. That banker. I mean, I don't know who's his doctors. Yeah, you could do it. Why? Why should a 79-year-old woman who had a hip replacement work around? Oh, it's a hip replacement. It's not a knee replacement. It shows that there's a risk she will fall. They were arguing with me. So this is the thing. So here it's the asking to return the money that they took. And he says, he's beaten up, but she's, okay, she's having violence against her. And we have evidence here of that they infiltrated their house, that they sent sabotager. They sent that Cohen, sabotage. I mean, he wasn't saying when he's coming, He was walking around in the night above my head. Why, you make me, I know that's him. You're saying that I'm hallucinating? No, he was there and he didn't return the key. And now they say about the finance ability of mine. Why she ruled like that? She wasn't patient. Maybe she was threatened. Maybe she was threatened. And this is and now I'm showing. I don't think she's even a tax advisor in accounting because the police realize what's going on here. You can see here. I'm showing. In September 18, the father died. You can see what is the balance. There it should be 14.5 million in a according in the end of 2023 it's supposed to be 14.5 million. It wasn't. It was around 10 million. Let's see if I brought it here. Now we can see that he's gambler. Now we can see that there's no appointee or in her a bank account. So it was only eight. Only eight. And I have it, I have all his portfolio. Only eight. That's the amount at the end of 2020. And I know it became 14,000. I know it became. But that's more or less, I think, because he purchased the Nvidia, which is, the small guy, the younger brother. Because I made he was bombarded, don't buy Nvidia, don't buy Nvidia. And look, I know what I'm talking about, In the COVID, purchased Nvidia. And I'm sure that small amount that he bought, that's what made because at the end, it usually takes him 5 years. Yeah, well, we had the agreement around the COVID. So we bought it in 2024. It takes him 5 years to understand what I'm saying, that shithead. But to steal, he has no problem. Okay. Only eight. At the end, after all the time that we waited, it became 14. But we're talking at something that was supposed to be, there's a gap of, so there's a gap of 6 million. But at the end, when it was taken, there was a gap of 10 million. Here I can show. This is dad all. I had I could look at the banks. So at 18, when the transfer was also done, I could look at the banks. I, put it in Excel. And then he just, cut me off. But I don't understand why are you, he was selling of the five, the big five. I mean, this is he was selling from the big five. Anyway, it's not nothing to do with him. Why don't you advise? Well, your mom is paralyzed and mute. How are you, confirming that you understand what you're doing? And my mom and father asked me to be an accountant. Who the fuck wrote that will? This is my disability. in 2015, they drugged me and paralyzed me on antidopamines without my consent, without my father's and mother's knowledge. So I have, a disability, a medical disability of, it was 100%. And then it became, I didn't know I had a 25%, but they also did, yeah. So it was forever 50. And by the way, the Soviet was there. I didn't want to go there. My mom took me to a committee instead of getting, I didn't understand what's going on with my mind. And he's not registered. But the big Soviet, Gregory Orfe, who has double passport and is a KGB, I mean, the DSM says you can kill. You can decide that this has this man is mental, a problem mental because he's against the regime, the KGB, FSB, and just kill them. And that's what they. So that Gregory, that they didn't give a fuck, And Gregory and Mohammed, and he didn't sign. He stood above and said to Muhammad, and I can see him. She's hallucinating. And he didn't sign. I know that it's you. You were running ahead of the department in the area, with I'm a doctor, but you don't get a scan, do you? And he doesn't speak English, by the way. And they have a problem with the Scandinavians. They have a problem. They want, he killed in, no, he gave me a Norwegian, anyway. So here you can see I have the credentials. I didn't take them. Never did I give it. I got into a stroke the first time it happened. I hid them, and I left home. It was the Muslim who just was in Golani could see him. He took him, Gregory over, he took him and just pushed away. Kill your sister. Okay, pushed down her throat. Gave them to buy this, and now that one is doing them. And it says that's a different, and they come here, they work in Israel. It's Soviets, they come here and work in Israel. This is not, the American, this is not the DSM. This is not, you know, it's not. In Russia, it says we can do whatever we fuck do. They give them plutonium, and 10 years later, you find them dead. But in Israel, you're not supposed to do that. People don't realize what the DSM in Soviet is. They don't realize. I mean, also China is red. You are against our regime. We're throwing opiates on you. We're making pandemic in in America. It's not only that the extended release opiates, but so you have all my credentials. And my first degree is in psychology, and it just this, by the way, is beautiful. It's the thing of I got almost all the points in financial instruments. And it's very hard. It's all the shit from subprime and bonds and convertible bonds. And really, I didn't have time really to, I mean, I was working on everything. I got 77. Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not supposed to be they don't even have the Muslim hasn't got a 12 years certificate. And the other one was, that's what I registered his and it's work. I did his and here this is very nice. It's from the police. I work in sports there, and my credentials it's not as if I'm fraudster. I think the last time he says he's a lifeguard. The banker now could see very good grades. You could see that my father, he also paid for my studies. Pick a plan like Motley and stick to it, ignore indices like Wix. Look, I was also, short-term trading. I did the Wix, anti-Wix when I was, I had time and I was in the start, I was doing Twix and I was doing very good on that. It's a very risky thing, but I know my father was a registered remotely fool, and he also now they have indices, but he used to analyze all of them and look into. I mean, it took him, a month of research. The Motley Fool, what is now you can see that they're beaten up, and I'm saying they try to drug me. Also in the institute where you have, the Soviet Muslim with strange, because there's 60% of them. It's not Israelis, it's people that didn't do IDF. They're sitting in the metal department and they're just registering shit. And the law is if someone beats you up and rapes you, the real law is you have to castrate you, chemical. But you have a lot of Muslims here. I'm not the one that has to be, medicated because I'm beaten up. I'm not supposed to be. And it's awful guidance. You can kill people like that. And you have a social worker saying that. And you have a doctor says that there is no problem. Today I've checked it. I did a tax advising to him. Um, He says, from my checkup today, there's no signs that there's a problem to take care of any daily situation, including her management of a finance. He's a British, and his son also does a IDF. Shock it. Yeah, yeah, he's okay. He does the gym. They're a bit fat, that family, but he does the gym and hard working, and he speaks English. It's you can see a test here of my mum, case 115 72891. The conclusions are in English, and I read them out. She was paralyzed, and I asked, and this is what was given to the Registry of Inheritance. He asked us for uh, yeah, he asked us for the medical. There's also some case now again at the registry. What is, my medical situation? Ah, okay. Yeah, he didn't, organize it. He came out for battle, okay? He's a fantastic guy. Fantastic guy. This is the ID of my mum. 012504304. This is the registry file. There are a lot of files that they opened up and were consolidated till the end. And the judge was there. I didn't like that I'm, trying to object. And, she actually, her ruling said at 135 that my objection to the will should be cancelled because I'm objecting. Look, everyone is it's a state of war. But she was okay because she, said that and now there's a new judge that will help her. I think she was also doing that thing without seeing all the picture, registering people to take the money on a Muslim scheme. I mean, nothing is a happy end. It will always be there. The most important thing for me, I don't mind leaving the house. The most important thing for me is restriction from these two brothers. Okay? Is it ALS? It's not ALS. They didn't bury her. Um, and she herself said, my mom said, they're trying to kill me for the money. They expel me from my home for the money. And then, anyway, this is it. Пока-пока. До свидания.